Have you ever decided, okay, today's the day, I'm going to learn how to code, only to find yourself just completely buried in information? Yeah, if that's you, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful strategy that cuts right through all that noise. It's a roadmap for not just learning, but for truly mastering programming. And it's called the Spike method. It's the classic question, isn't it? You know the feeling, you open up your laptop, you're full of ambition, and then bam, you're hit with this absolute tidal wave of information. It feels like the answer to this one simple question is pulling you in 100 different directions all at once. And this right here, this is the problem. It is a sea of options. Every single one of these languages promises to be the best one to start with. So you dip your toes into Python, but then you hear, oh, you gotta know JavaScript for the web. But wait a second, what about Swift if you want to make mobile apps? It's completely paralyzing. And honestly, it's the first major hurdle where so many aspiring developers just get stuck. And this paralysis leads us right into something we can call the generalist trap. It is such a common mistake, this idea that you should learn a little bit of everything, that more is somehow better. But as we're about to see, that approach, it's really just a recipe for frustration, not for actual success. So think of it like this. There are two paths. On one side, you've got the generalist. This is the classic jack of all trades. Their knowledge is, a mile wide, but it's only an inch deep. And then you compare that to the specialist. Yeah, their knowledge is narrow, but it goes incredibly deep. They are the true master of one specific thing. So this is what that generalist trap actually feels like. It's like being on a hamster wheel. You never quite feel confident in any one language, you find it really hard to stand out from the crowd, and you're just constantly feeling like you're playing catch-up, never really mastering anything. Sound familiar? But what if there was a better way? A more strategic, more focused approach? Well, there is, and it's time to introduce the really elegant solution to this whole problem, the Spike method. So at its core, the Spike method is actually pretty simple. Instead of spreading your time and energy thin across a bunch of different things, you channel all of it into creating one deep, sharp spike of expertise. It's about making a deliberate choice to become an expert in one focused niche first. Now, this really requires a shift in your mindset. You have to let go of that FOMO, that fear of missing out on all those other languages. The real power comes from mastering one area, because that mastery, that becomes the solid foundation for everything else you learn later. Okay, so that's the theory. Theory's great, right? But how do you actually do it? Let's break this down into a clear, actionable roadmap that you can literally start using today. All right, so the roadmap has 4 very clear steps. Step 1, choose your niche. And don't just pick a language, pick a problem you want to solve. So instead of just saying, I'll learn Python, you decide, I am going to master Python for building data visualization dashboards. That focus becomes your compass. Then step 2, go deep. This means for the next couple of months, you live and breathe that one thing. You're not secretly doing a JavaScript tutorial on the side. No, you are all in. Total immersion. Step 3, and this is so important, build a real project. This is what forces you to solve actual problems and cements your knowledge in a way no tutorial ever could. So build that dashboard, make it work, then break it, and then fix it again. That's where the real learning happens. And then finally, step 4. Only after you've built that deep expertise do you even think about strategically branching out to related skills. And I know what some of you might be thinking, isn't this limiting my career? But it's the exact opposite. This is about creating a solid, powerful foundation of real expertise that you can then build on for the rest of your career. This right here, this is what focused power looks like. So what's the big payoff, right? Why go through all this effort just to become a niche expert? Well, this is where the strategy really shines, and it's what separates the hobbyist from the highly valued professional. See, your value in the marketplace isn't linear. A generalist, yeah, they're seen as moderately valuable, but a niche expert, the person who is the absolute best at one specific in-demand skill, they are exponentially more valuable. Think about it. When a company has a critical, burning problem with a specific technology, who do you think they're going to call? The jack of all trades or the master? And the benefits? Well, they really speak for themselves. You become the go-to person for that skill. You can command higher pay and much better opportunities. Your confidence just soars because you actually know your stuff, inside and out. And in a field that's crowded with beginners, you don't just stand out, you shine. If you take just one thing away from our whole chat today, let it be this. True, lasting power in any complex field like this doesn't come from knowing a little bit about everything. It comes from knowing everything about something. Depth,
over breadth. That is power.
So now the question is no longer, where do I even begin? The question becomes much more focused and way more powerful. So forget that whole sea of options. Instead, I want you to ask yourself this. What will your one area of deep expertise be? What is your spike going to be?